GTX is shaping up to be one of the biggest events of this year of Melee, with how many top 50 players are going to be in attendance thanks to the huge prize pool, so I thought we'd take a look at some of the most entertaining storylines heading into the event. By far the most important part of GTX is going to be who is able to place high enough to get an invite into the upcoming Smash Summit. Seeding and projected brackets play a huge role in determining who might be able to secure the invite, so let's take a look at the projected brackets of 3 players who I think have a real shot at making it, and 6 others who I think are just going to fall a little bit short. At the highest probability, we have Wizrobe, who's 2 very doable paths to make it into top 8, depending on if he's able to beat Westballs or not. The only concern I can see about him is that he's only attended 4 big events in the last 3 months, so he might be a bit rusty, but his 2nd place finish at Syndicate should really allay those fears. Next we have Westballs, who also has 2 probable paths into the top 8, but it is quite an interesting predicament as losing to Wizrobe might give him a higher chance to make it there. This is due to the fact that early 2016 at Xanadu was the last time West was able to beat Chu, and that Chu 3-1'd him during the recent meeting at Shine. His path through losers is a bit sketchy though, as Westballs had lost his last 2 sets versus both Nun and SVET. And lastly we have Chudat, who also has a fairly decent shot at getting his summit invite through GTX. How far Ice Climbers are able to go in a tournament often has a lot to do with character and player matchups, and this event is no different. If Westballs beats Wizzy, then Chugat gets a Falco matchup to get into top 8 instead of the much more difficult Captain Falcon one. This is also assuming that Chu, who has had a fairly shaky summer, is able to make it past both Mike Hayes and Lucky. But these 3 players' fates are closely intertwined with each other, and I am personally rooting for Westballs to take the invite, but I think it'll most likely go to Wizrobe if he plays to his full potential. There's also a very real possibility that both Westballs and Wizrobe make it in the top 8, which would lead to Westballs playing Axe to get that possible chance to get a leg up on Wizrobe. Now let's quickly look at some other players who have a much more distant shot. In Tier 2 we have S2J, Drug Fox, and Swedish Delight. S2J had a fantastic showing at Shine where he's able to take a set off Plup only going Samus, but it would be a miracle if he's able to do it 2 times in a row. Although Drug Fox does have even records against 3 of these players, he's had a disappointing summer and has dropped his last sets versus both the Moon and Axe. And Swedish falls in the same boat as S2J, with the wall of either Plup or Leffen being too hard for him to break through if he's even able to make it there. Finally, let's look at the 3rd tier of possibility with Lucky, Shroomed, and the Moon. Lucky and the Moon are both down air because they face each other in the finals of their pool, which means one of them is going to make a long losers run if they want any chance of making it into top 8. And for the one that wins, they've got a tough potential road of Chu and Wizzy ahead. Shroomed is probably the lowest player on this list to have a real shot, but he's risky to bet on. He's actually won 2 sets against Plup this year that both happened at Smash and Splash, but Plup went only Fox for one of them, and then went Fox and Luigi for the other one, which is why they are not included on the chart. But if Shroom can't beat Plup, he's almost sure to lose the Axe in losers. But those are just my insights into who I think has the highest possibility at taking their seat at Summit at this event, and I'd love to hear who you think is going to earn the invite to GTX in the comments down below. Now let's move on to some other storylines at GTX, and let's first briefly touch on Armada. This will be his first tournament in the US all the way since EVO, and if he's able to take both GTX and the Big House, he will pretty much all but locked up his first place rank for the year. Hungrybox, coming off his win at Shine, has probably the best chance out of anyone to steal the win away from Armada, especially with him not having to also beat Mango at the event. It's also interesting to note that Hungrybox actually won the last time the 2 met all the way back at Smash and Splash, so we'll have to see who is going to start off the 4th quarter of Melee stronger. On the topic of rank contention, we have Leffen and Plup's fight for 5th best in the world, which an entire video could probably be dedicated to. As of this event, Plup has placed higher than Leffen at 3 events, whereas Leffen has only outplaced him at 2. But Leffen has still been seeded higher than Plup for the purposes of this event. Plup may also be up 3-1 in the head-to-head this year, but Leffen has one thing still over Plup's head, a win against Armada. This is a little unfair to Plup because he hasn't been able to play a set against Armada this year, but if he's able to take out Leffen in winner's quarters, he's finally going to get his chance. And lastly, I want to touch on one of the most humble players in Melee, Amza, who recently announced that he's trying to plan his future employment so he'll be able to attend more Melee events in the US. Amza is coming off some fantastic play at Gods and Gatekeepers, where he's most notably able to 3-stock Mango in a little under 2 minutes. He's got a very rough projected bracket ahead, like most of this very top-heavy event, but he's won sets against some of them last time they met, and most players' inexperience with the Yoshi matchup provides a huge advantage. I'm going to conservatively say that Amza is going to finish around 17th place, but I think most would love to see him go further. And yeah, that's about it for this video. It's a tad bit shorter than my last video on the Big House, which was super long and comprehensive about the history of each individual event in the Big House series. You can click on the link in the top right to check that out. And also, if you're clicking links to go help people out, you can go down in the description and check out my Twitter. I usually post previews of videos that are yet to come out. And when I'm at the Big House next week, I'll be tweeting stuff like to play friendlies and all that jazz. So if you're going to be at the Big House, you should definitely go follow me on Twitter if you want to low-key stalk me. And last, I mentioned in the last video as well, I opened up a Patreon, however you pronounce that, and some of the rewards are like getting to see videos like a little bit early, getting to vote on a video topic every month for a video, and stuff like that. There's also a link in the top right that should be popping up now. You can go check that out if you want. And I'd also like to give a shout out to my first patron, Nick Fade. Thank you so much for donating. I really appreciate it. But that's about it. I've been SaveAsUntitled. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.